Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the stars through the massive viewing window. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of machines and the occasional beep from control panels. His officers worked at their stations, checking readings and monitoring space around them. The Zephyrian Imperial Navy had been patrolling this sector for over 3,000 years. Admiral Kethvar had served for 40 years, and in all that time he had never seen anything that could challenge the Empire's power. Their ships were the most advanced in the galaxy. Their weapons could destroy entire planets. Their technology was beyond what most species could even imagine. Today was supposed to be just another routine patrol. They were checking the outer rim territories, making sure no pirates or rebels were causing trouble. The Empire controlled hundreds of star systems, and keeping them safe required constant vigilance. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Zexina from her station. "Long-range sensors are detecting something unusual." Kethvar turned toward her. "What kind of unusual?" "There's an unidentified vessel in system KX7749. It appears to be drifting near the edge of the system." The Admiral walked over to look at her screen. System KX7749 was empty space. No planets worth visiting, no resources, no settlements. Nothing valuable existed there. "Show me the details." The screen displayed a rough image of a ship. It was about the size of a frigate, much smaller than any of the Imperial ships in their fleet. The design looked strange, not like anything in their databases. It had odd angles and shapes that didn't match any known species. "Energy readings?" Kethvar asked. "None, sir. The ship appears to be powered down completely. No movement, no communications, no weapon signatures." Kethvar studied the image. In his 40 years of service, he had encountered dozens of species trying to explore space for the first time. Most of them built crude ships that barely worked. Sometimes these ships would break down and drift in space until Imperial patrols found them. "Probably another primitive species that got lost," he said. "Send a squadron to investigate. Standard procedure. Escort them to the nearest Imperial station for processing or destroy them if they prove hostile." "Yes, sir." "Which squadron should I dispatch?" "Send Squadron 7. 12 destroyers should be more than enough for whatever this is." Lieutenant Zexina began sending orders to Squadron 7. Within minutes, 12 Imperial destroyers broke formation and headed toward system KX7749. Each destroyer was over 300 meters long and carried enough firepower to level a city. Captain Vexhai commanded Squadron 7 from his destroyer, the Iron Fist. He had dealt with primitive species many times before. Most of them were peaceful and surrendered immediately when they saw Imperial ships. The few that tried to fight were destroyed quickly. "Time to intercept?" he asked his navigation officer. 47 minutes at current speed, sir." "Very good. Signal the fleet to maintain formation. We'll handle this quickly and return to the patrol route." Captain Vexhai had no reason to expect trouble. The unknown ship was small and showed no signs of advanced technology. His squadron had destroyed rebel bases and pirate fleets. A single drifting ship would not be a challenge. Back on the Admiral's flagship, Kethvar returned to his duties. He had reports to review and supply requests to approve. The investigation of the unknown ship was routine work that his captains could handle without supervision. "Admiral," Lieutenant Zexina called again. "Squadron 7 reports they will reach the target in 30 minutes. "Acknowledged. Have them follow standard protocols." The Empire had clear rules for dealing with unknown ships. First, try to communicate and identify the vessel. Second, offer escort to an Imperial station for proper processing. Third, if the ship refused to cooperate or showed hostile intent, destroy it immediately. These protocols had worked for thousands of years. The Empire had encountered hundreds of species during its expansion across the galaxy. Some joined the Empire peacefully. Others fought and were conquered. A few tried to hide or run away, but Imperial technology always found them eventually. The unknown ship in system KX7749 would be no different. Whatever species had built it would soon learn about the power of the Zephyrian Empire. They would either join as subjects or be eliminated as a threat. Admiral Kethvar looked out at the stars again. Somewhere in that darkness, his squadron was approaching the unknown vessel. Soon they would have answers about who had built it and where they came from. Then the ship would either be escorted to an Imperial station or destroyed. Either way, the matter would be resolved quickly. The Empire's schedule would not be disrupted by a single primitive vessel drifting in empty space. "Status report from Squadron 7? He asked. "They report normal approach, sir. No change in the target vessel." Still no energy readings or communications. Kethvar nodded. Everything was proceeding as expected. In less than an hour, Squadron 7 would complete their investigation and return to formation. The patrol would continue, and another minor mystery would be solved. The Admiral had no way of knowing that in 45 minutes, everything he believed about Imperial superiority would be shattered forever. The small quiet ship waiting in system KX-7749 was about to demonstrate that the Zephyrian Empire was not the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. In fact, they were not even close. Captain Vexhai watched his screens as Squadron 7 approached the unknown vessel. Up close, the ship looked even stranger than the long-range sensors had shown. It was sleek and angular, with surfaces that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The design was unlike anything in Imperial databases. "Distance to target?" he asked. 5,000 kilometers and closing, sir. All ships maintain formation. Weapons ready, but do not target. We follow standard protocols. The Iron Fist led the squadron in a perfect wedge formation. 11 other destroyers followed in precise positions. Each ship was ready for combat, but Captain Vexhai expected no trouble from a single small vessel. Suddenly, energy readings spiked across all their sensors. "Sir, the target vessel is powering up," his sensor operator called out. On the main screen, the unknown ship began to glow with a soft blue light. Patterns of energy flowed across its hull like living circuits. The ship slowly rotated to face the approaching Imperial squadron. "Interesting," Vexhai muttered. "Open communications. All frequencies. Channel open, sir." "Unknown vessel, this is Captain Vexhai of the Zephyrian Imperial Navy. You are in Imperial space without authorization. Identify yourself immediately and prepare to be escorted to the nearest Imperial station for processing." For several seconds there was no response. Then a voice came through the speakers, speaking in a language that made no sense. "Translation matrix active," reported the communications officer, working on decoding the language. The unknown voice spoke again. This time, the translation came through clearly, though with a mechanical quality that showed the matrix was struggling with the alien language patterns. "This is the UES Retribution. You are in violation of human territorial sovereignty. Withdraw immediately or face consequences." Captain Vexhai laughed. Several of his bridge officers smiled at the audacity of the message. A single ship, barely the size of an Imperial frigate, was threatening an entire squadron of destroyers. "Did they just threaten us?" asked his weapons officer. "Apparently so," Vexhai replied. "Open channel again." "Unknown vessel calling itself Retribution, you are mistaken about territorial boundaries. This system is under Imperial jurisdiction and has been for over 2,000 years. You will comply with Imperial law and surrender for processing, or you will be destroyed." The response came immediately, and this time the translation was perfect. "Captain Vexhai of the Iron Fist, we have analyzed your communications and technology. Your translation systems are primitive but functional. We are giving you one final opportunity to withdraw beyond the coordinates we are transmitting now. Failure to comply will result in the destruction of your vessels." "Sir?" the sensor officer said. "They're transmitting a set of coordinates. They want us to retreat beyond a perimeter about 50,000 kilometers from their position." Captain Vexhai felt his anger rising. No species had ever dared to give orders to the Imperial Navy. The Empire's reputation was built on swift, overwhelming responses to any challenge. "All ships, this is Captain Vexhai. The unknown vessel has refused to surrender and has threatened Imperial forces. We will now demonstrate the consequences of challenging the Empire. All weapons target the hostile vessel. Fire on my command." 12 Imperial destroyers turned their weapons toward the human ship. Each destroyer carried plasma cannons capable of melting through armor like butter, and missile launchers that could crack a planet's crust. Weapons locked. "Sir?" "Fire." Brilliant streams of plasma shot from every Imperial ship. Missiles followed close behind, their warheads designed to penetrate shields and destroy targets from within. The combined firepower of Squadron 7 could have destroyed a small moon. But the human ship was no longer where they had aimed. "Where did it go?" Vexhai shouted. "Sir, it moved." Impossible acceleration patterns. "It's now positioned above us at—" The sensor officer never finished his sentence. A sound like thunder filled the Iron Fist as something struck the destroyer's silent blade. The ship simply came apart, breaking into pieces that glowed red-hot as they scattered through space. "What hit them?" Vexhai demanded. Unknown weapon type, sir. Some kind of kinetic projectile, but moving faster than our sensors can track accurately. Another thunderclap. The destroyer Storm's Edge exploded in a ball of fire. Then another. And another. In less than 30 seconds, 11 of the 12 Imperial destroyers were nothing but expanding clouds of debris and superheated gas. Only the Iron Fist remained, its shields flickering and hull damage from flying wreckage. Report, Vexhai screamed. Hull breach on decks 4 and 7. Shield generators failing. Main weapons offline. The human ship hung in space before them, apparently undamaged. It had destroyed 11 Imperial warships using weapons that moved too fast to see and left no energy signature. Sir, incoming transmission from the hostile vessel. Put it through. The same calm voice spoke again. Captain Vexhai, you have witnessed a demonstration of human defensive capabilities. We did not wish to destroy your vessels, but you forced this action. We are allowing your ship to survive so you can report back to your superiors. Leave this system immediately. How? Vexhai whispered. How did you destroy our ship so quickly? Your weapons technology is based on plasma energy systems. Effective against most opponents in this region, but easily countered with proper shielding. Your ships are large but slow, designed for fighting opponents who use similar technology. They are not equipped to handle kinetic weapons that operate outside your understanding of physics. Captain Vexhai stared at the human ship. It was a third the size of his destroyer, but it had destroyed an entire squadron without taking any damage. What are you? He asked. We are humans. We have been monitoring your empire's expansion for some time. Until now, you have not interfered with our territorial claims. That has changed. This is impossible. The Empire has the most advanced technology in the galaxy. We've conquered hundreds of worlds. Captain Vexhai, your empire is approximately 1,500 years behind human technology development. The gap is significant. We recommend you report our capabilities accurately to your superiors. Further attempts to enter human territorial space will result in stronger responses. The Iron Fist's communication system crackled and went silent. The human ship had ended the transmission. Sir, what are your orders? Asked his surviving weapons officer. Captain Vexhai looked around his damaged bridge. Half his crew was dead. His ship was barely functional. 11 other captains and their crews were gone, destroyed by weapons he couldn't even understand. Set course for the Admiral's fleet. Maximum speed. Sir, shouldn't we try to recover survivors from the other ships? Vexhai looked at the debris field on his screen. There were no survivors. The destroyed ships had been completely vaporized. Nothing remained but twisted metal and cooling gases. There's nothing left to recover. Send emergency transmission to Admiral Kethvar. Tell him we need to talk to the High Command immediately. What should I tell him, sir? Captain Vexhai stared at the human ship one last time before the Iron Fist limped away from the battle site. Tell him we just met a species that makes our technology look like toys. Admiral Kethvar stared at the emergency transmission from Captain Vexhai. The words made no sense. 11 destroyers destroyed in 30 seconds? Weapons that moved faster than sensors could track? It had to be some kind of mistake. Communications, get me Captain Vexhai directly. Channel open, sir. The Iron Fist appeared on the main screen. The ship looked like it had been through a meteor storm. Hull panels were missing, and several sections showed blast damage. Captain Vexhai's face was pale, and dried blood marked a cut on his forehead. Captain, repeat your report. Admiral, the unknown vessel destroyed my entire squadron except for my ship. They used weapons we've never seen before. Kinetic projectiles that move faster than our sensors can properly track. Our plasma weapons had no effect on their shields. Admiral Kethvar felt a cold sensation in his stomach. Captain Vexhai was one of his most reliable officers. He was not the type to panic or exaggerate. How many ships attacked you? One, sir. The same vessel we detected originally. It moved with impossible speed and accuracy. Sir, I don't think this is a primitive species. Their technology is far beyond ours. One ship destroyed 11 of ours? That's impossible. I watched it happen, Admiral. They gave us warnings. They told us to withdraw. When we opened fire, they responded by eliminating our squadron. Admiral Kethvar looked around his bridge. His officers were listening to every word. He could see doubt and fear growing in their eyes. The Empire's reputation depended on absolute technological superiority. If word spread that a single unknown ship had destroyed an Imperial squadron, it could cause panic across the Empire. All stations, classified protocols now in effect. This conversation is not to be discussed with anyone. He turned back to Captain Vexhai. Return to the fleet immediately. We will discuss this in person. Sir, I recommend we withdraw from this sector and contact High Command. This is beyond anything we're equipped to handle. Negative. The Empire does not retreat from single vessels regardless of their capabilities. Return to formation. Admiral Kethvar ended the transmission and stood silent for several minutes. In 3,000 years, no enemy had ever destroyed Imperial ships so easily. The Empire's expansion across the galaxy had been built on technological supremacy. Their weapons were the most powerful known. Their ships were the most advanced. But if Captain Vexhai's report was accurate, they had encountered something that made Imperial technology look primitive. Lieutenant Zexna, signal all ships. Full battle formation. We're going to investigate this unknown vessel ourselves. Sir, perhaps we should contact Fleet Command first. The Empire does not ask for permission to deal with threats in our own territory. Signal all ships to prepare for combat operations. The Admiral's battle group was impressive. 47 ships, including heavy cruisers, battle cruisers, and his flagship dreadnought Eternal Victory. The combined firepower could destroy entire fleets or bombard planets into submission. Surely no single ship, regardless of its technology, could stand against such overwhelming force. 3 hours later, the battle group approached System KX-7749. Long-range sensors immediately detected the unknown vessel, still in the same position. It made no attempt to flee despite being outnumbered 47-1. Admiral, reported the sensor officer, the hostile vessel is transmitting. Let's hear what they have to say. The voice that came through the speakers was calm and professional, speaking perfect Zephyrian. Admiral Kethvar of the Eternal Victory. This is Commander Sarah Chen of the UES Retribution. We have completed analysis of your language and communication systems. We are transmitting coordinates for a safe withdrawal zone. Please retreat beyond this perimeter immediately. Coordinates received, sir, reported the navigation officer. They want us to withdraw to a distance of 200,000 kilometers. Admiral Kethvar felt his anger rising. This unknown commander was giving orders to the Imperial Navy as if she had authority over them. Open channel. Commander Chen, you are in Imperial space facing the full battle group of Admiral Kethvar. You will surrender immediately or be destroyed. You have demonstrated advanced weapons, but you are still outnumbered 47-1. Admiral, we do not wish to destroy your vessels. Our defensive capabilities are sufficient to protect us from your weapons, but our response will cause significant loss of life among your crews. Please reconsider. The Empire does not negotiate with terrorists or pirates. All ships attack formation. Target the hostile vessel. 47 Imperial warships arranged themselves in a massive sphere around the human ship. Every weapon in the fleet was aimed at the single target. The firepower was enough to crack a moon in half. Admiral, Commander Chen's voice came again. You are making a serious mistake. Final warning. All ships open fire. Space lit up like a small star as every Imperial ship fired at once. Hundreds of plasma streams converged on the human vessel. Thousands of missiles followed. The energy output was tremendous. But when the light faded, the human ship was untouched. Impossible. Admiral Kethvar shouted. Nothing could survive that much firepower. Sir, their shields absorbed everything. No damage detected. How is that possible? His answer came in the form of action rather than words. The human ship began moving, and Admiral Kethvar realized that everything Captain Vexhai had said was true. The UES Retribution moved through the Imperial formation like a blade through paper. Its weapons fired in rapid succession, each shot destroying an Imperial warship instantly. The Admiral watched in growing horror as his magnificent fleet was systematically dismantled. His science officer was running continuous scans, trying to understand what they were facing. Admiral, their hull composition contains isotopes that shouldn't exist naturally. This suggests matter manipulation on a subatomic level. Their movement patterns indicate artificial gravity control that violates our understanding of physics. What does that mean? Sir, their technology operates on principles we don't understand. It's not just more advanced. It's based on completely different scientific concepts. The battle was over in 15 minutes. 38 Imperial ships were destroyed. The remaining 9, including the Admiral's flagship, were damaged but still functional. Why did they stop? Admiral Kethvar asked. Incoming transmission, sir. Commander Chen's face appeared on the screen. She was human, obviously, with dark hair and calm brown eyes. She wore a simple uniform that looked almost casual compared to Imperial military dress. "Admiral Kethvar, we have disabled most of your fleet to demonstrate the futility of continued aggression. We could have destroyed all your ships, but we prefer not to cause unnecessary loss of life." "How? How did you defeat us so easily? Your weapons technology is several centuries behind ours. Your ships are designed to fight opponents who use similar physics principles. You are not equipped to handle matter manipulation, gravity control, or kinetic weapons that operate in dimensions beyond your current understanding." Admiral Kethvar looked around his damaged bridge. Smoke was rising from several control panels. Half his crew was injured or dead. His flagship, Pride of the Imperial Navy, was barely functional. "What do you want from us?" "We want you to respect our territorial boundaries and stop expanding into systems we have designated as human space. We have been monitoring your empire for over 50 years. Until now, your expansion has not conflicted with our interests." 50 years? You've been watching us for 50 years? "Yes, Admiral. We are aware of your empire's history, technology, and territorial claims. We generally do not interfere with younger civilizations unless they pose a direct threat to human interests." "Younger civilizations? The empire is 3,000 years old. Admiral, the human species achieved technological singularity 73 years ago. Our current capabilities are beyond what your empire might achieve in the next 1,000 years of development." Admiral Kethvar felt the weight of the truth settling on him. The empire that had dominated the galaxy for millennia was not the apex of technological achievement. They were children playing with toys compared to this human species. "What happens now?" he asked. "You will return to your superiors and report what you have learned. We are transmitting detailed territorial boundary information. Future incursions into human space will be met with stronger responses." The transmission ended. The human ship began moving away from the battle site, leaving the crippled Imperial fleet alone among the wreckage of their pride. The emergency session of the High Council convened within 6 hours of Admiral Kethvar's transmission, reaching Zephyr Prime. Empress Silara sat on her throne of polished metal, her forearms folded in a gesture that every Zephyrian recognized as extreme displeasure. The throne room was circular, with holographic displays showing the disaster at System KX-7749. Debris fields marked where Imperial ships had been destroyed. The numbers were impossible to ignore. 47 ships engaged, 38 destroyed, 9 severely damaged. "Explain to me how this happened," the Empress said, her voice carrying the authority of 2 centuries of rule. Admiral Kethvar stood in the center of the chamber, his uniform still showing damage from the battle. Around him, the 12 members of the High Council watched from their elevated seats. "Your Majesty, we encountered a single vessel of unknown origin. When we attempted to follow standard protocols for dealing with unauthorized ships, they responded with weapons technology far beyond our understanding. A single ship destroyed nearly 50 Imperial vessels?" "Yes, Your Majesty. Their weapons appear to be kinetic projectiles that move faster than our sensors can properly track. Their shields absorb the combined firepower of my entire battle group without any visible damage." Councillor Tharwin, head of the military division, leaned forward. "Admiral, are you suggesting this unknown species has technology superior to the Empire's?" "I'm not suggesting it, Councillor. I'm stating it as fact. Their technology operates on principles we don't understand. Our science officer detected hull materials containing isotopes that shouldn't exist naturally." Empress Silara stood from her throne. "For 3,000 years, the Empire had been the dominant force in this sector of the galaxy. Their expansion had been built on technological supremacy. Every species they encountered was absorbed into the Empire or destroyed if they resisted. Show me the communication logs." A holographic display activated, showing Commander Sarah Chen's face and voice. The Council listened in silence as she calmly explained human territorial boundaries and warned against future incursions. "They've been watching us for 50 years?" asked Councillor Vexdan from Internal Security. "According to their statements, yes. They claim to monitor younger civilizations and only intervene when threatened." "Younger civilizations." Councillor Tharwin's voice rose in anger. "The Empire has ruled this sector for 3 millennia. And yet they defeated us in 15 minutes, Admiral Kethvar replied quietly. The throne room fell silent. The implications were staggering. If this human species truly possessed such advanced technology, the Empire's position as the dominant power was in question. Empress Silara walked to the central display, studying the tactical information from the battle. Science Division, analyze everything Admiral Kethvar observed. I want to know how their technology works. Counselor Zelara, head of the Science Division, activated her personal display. Preliminary analysis suggests several impossibilities, Your Majesty. Matter manipulation on a subatomic level, gravity control that violates known physics, and energy weapons that operate outside conventional parameters. Nothing is impossible. Find out how they do it. Your Majesty, with respect, some of these technologies suggest a civilization that has achieved what our scientists call a technological singularity. They may have capabilities we cannot currently comprehend. The Empress turned back to Admiral Kethvar. You spoke with their commander. What was your assessment of their intentions? Commander Chen claimed they don't wish to interfere with other civilizations unless threatened. They've established territorial boundaries and demand we respect them. She indicated that future violations would result in stronger responses. Stronger than destroying 47 warships? Yes, Your Majesty. She implied the response we experienced was restrained. Counselor Tharwin stood from his seat. Your Majesty, we cannot allow this challenge to Imperial authority to go unanswered. If we appear weak, other species might rebel against Imperial rule. What do you suggest, Counselor? Send more ships to be destroyed? We have experimental weapons projects. The Titan-class destroyers with enhanced plasma cores. The reality warping devices recovered from the Architect ruins. The dimensional strike platforms. Empress Silara considered this. The Empire had spent centuries studying the remains of the extinct Architect civilization. Their technology was mysterious but powerful. Perhaps it was time to use their most advanced weapons. Admiral Kethvar, in your professional opinion, would our experimental weapons be effective against this human ship? The Admiral was quiet for several seconds. He remembered watching his proud fleet burning in space while the human vessel remained untouched. Your Majesty, I cannot recommend any military action based on what I observed. Their technology gap is too significant. We need more information before we consider any response. That sounds like cowardice, Admiral, Counselor Tharwin said. It's realistic assessment, Counselor. We lost 90% of our ships in one engagement. The remaining 10% survived only because they allowed us to survive. Empress Silara returned to her throne. The Empire faced a crisis unlike any in its long history. For the first time, they had encountered a species that was clearly superior to them in every technological aspect. Emergency protocols are now in effect, she announced. Fleet Admiral Zenthar is recalled from the outer colonies with the entire Fifth Fleet. All experimental weapons projects are expedited. The Terminus Protocol is authorized. The Terminus Protocol had never been used. It represented the Empire's most secret and dangerous weapons, devices that could potentially destroy star systems, but were considered too risky for normal warfare. Your Majesty, Counselor Zalera said carefully, the Terminus weapons are untested. We don't fully understand their effects. We don't fully understand this human technology either. We need every advantage we can develop. What are our diplomatic options? Asked Counselor Vextan. They transmitted territorial boundary information, Admiral Kethvar replied. They want us to avoid specific systems they claim as human space. How many systems? 47 star systems in this sector, all of them currently empty of Imperial settlements, but several were targeted for future expansion. Empress Silara studied the holographic star map showing human territorial claims. The boundaries were carefully drawn to avoid direct conflict with major Imperial holdings, but they blocked several planned expansion routes. They're being reasonable, she admitted reluctantly. They could have demanded we evacuate systems we already control. Your Majesty, we cannot be seen to surrender territory to any species, Counselor Tharwin insisted. The Empire's reputation is at stake. The Empire's existence might be at stake. Admiral, what is your estimate of their full military capability? Unknown, Your Majesty. Commander Chen indicated the ship we faced was using outdated technology by their standards. She referred to it as a patrol craft. The words hit the Council like a physical blow. A patrol craft, the vessel that had destroyed nearly 50 Imperial warships, was considered outdated by human standards. What does that suggest about their primary military forces? The Empress asked. I prefer not to speculate, Your Majesty. The implications are too disturbing. Empress Silara stood again and walked to the great window overlooking the capital city. Below, millions of Zephyrians went about their daily lives unaware that their empire's dominance had been shattered in a single afternoon. Options, she said finally. Present me with options. Counselor Tharwin spoke first. Military response using our most advanced weapons. Show them we will not be intimidated. Diplomatic response, countered Counselor Vextan. Acknowledge their territorial claims and open negotiations for formal boundaries. Scientific response, added Counselor Zelara. Study their technology. Try to understand how they achieved such advancement. Withdrawal, said Admiral Kethvar quietly. Accept their territorial boundaries and avoid any future conflicts. The Empress turned back to face the Council. We are the Zephyrian Empire. We have ruled this sector for 3,000 years. We do not retreat from single ships. Even if that single ship can destroy our entire fleet, Admiral Kethvar asked. We don't know their full capabilities. Perhaps they only have a few such vessels. Perhaps their technology has limitations we haven't discovered. Your Majesty, with respect, that's a dangerous assumption. Everything we do now is dangerous, Admiral. The moment we show weakness, the Empire begins to crumble. Empress Silara returned to her throne and gave her orders. Fleet Admiral Zenthar will bring the 5th Fleet to this sector immediately. All experimental weapons will be tested and prepared for deployment. The Science Division will analyze every piece of data from the engagement. Intelligence Division will attempt to locate other human vessels or settlements. She paused, looking at each council member in turn. And we will send a diplomatic mission to make contact with these humans. We need to understand their capabilities, their intentions, and their weaknesses. Your Majesty, Admiral Kethvar said, what if they don't have weaknesses we can exploit? The Empress was silent for a long moment. Then we will learn what it means to no longer be the most powerful species in the galaxy. 3 days after the destruction of Admiral Kethvar's fleet, the UES Retribution transmitted a new message to Zephyr Prime. This time, the communication bypassed all Imperial security systems and appeared directly on every major communication network across the Empire's capital world. The message was simple. Empress Silara, we request a private communication channel. We have information that will clarify the current situation. Within an hour, a secure connection was established between the throne room and the human vessel. Commander Sarah Chen appeared on the main display, her image crystal clear despite being transmitted across interstellar distances. Empress Silara, thank you for accepting our communication request. The Empress sat rigidly on her throne, flanked by the full High Council. Commander Chen, you have demonstrated impressive technology. Now explain what you want from the Empire. We want to prevent unnecessary conflict, Your Majesty. There are facts about the current situation that you need to understand before making decisions that could endanger both our civilizations. Speak plainly. Commander Chen's expression remained calm and professional. First, you should know that humanity has been aware of the Zephyrian Empire for 53 years. We have monitoring stations throughout this sector that have been tracking your expansion and technological development. Monitoring stations? Where? Currently, there are 17 human observation posts within Imperial territory. They have been operating undetected since the early stages of your expansion into this region. The council members looked at each other in shock. 17 stations had been operating in Imperial space without detection. Their security systems had completely failed to notice foreign technology operating under their noses. Impossible, said Counselor Vextan. Our sensor networks would have detected any unauthorized installations. Counselor, your sensor networks are designed to detect technology similar to your own. Human stealth systems operate on principles your equipment cannot recognize. Empress Silara leaned forward. Why have you been watching us? Standard procedure for monitoring younger civilizations. When we first detected Zephyrian expansion, we needed to determine whether your species would pose a threat to human interests. And your conclusion? Until recently, we classified the Zephyrian Empire as a developing civilization following typical expansion patterns. Your technology was advancing at normal rates, your territorial growth was predictable, and your interactions with other species showed standard imperial behaviors. Standard imperial behaviors? Conquest, absorption, or elimination of less advanced species. Most civilizations go through this phase. It usually ends when they encounter a significantly more advanced opponent. The words struck the council like physical blows. Everything they had seen as proof of Zephyrian superiority was just a normal phase of development. You're saying our empire is typical? asked Counselor Tharwin. Very typical. We have observed similar patterns in over 300 species across this galaxy. The technological development path, expansion strategies, and social structures follow predictable models. 300 species? Empress Silara felt the foundations of her worldview cracking. How many civilizations are you monitoring? Currently, we maintain observation protocols for approximately 2,000 developing civilizations in this galaxy alone. The throne room fell silent. 2,000 civilizations. The Zephyrian Empire, which had seen itself as the dominant force in the galaxy, was just one among thousands being watched by humanity. Commander Chen, the Empress said slowly, what is humanity's actual position in galactic affairs? Humanity is one of several hundred species that have achieved technological singularity. We coordinate with other advanced civilizations to maintain stability and prevent younger species from developing weapons that could threaten galactic security. How long has humanity been active in space? Human interstellar civilization is approximately 400 years old. We achieved faster-than-light travel 380 years ago, developed matter manipulation 200 years ago, and reached technological singularity 73 years ago. Admiral Kethvar found his voice. Commander, the vessel we encountered, what class of ship was it? The UES Retribution is a Mark 7 patrol craft, designed for monitoring and light defensive duties. It's considered outdated by current standards, but adequate for dealing with most situations involving developing civilizations. Outdated? That ship destroyed 47 Imperial vessels. Yes, Admiral. The technology gap made the outcome predictable. Modern human ships are significantly more advanced than the Retribution. Counselor Zellera from the Science Division spoke up. Commander, how far behind is our technology? Your current development level is approximately equivalent to where humanity was 200 years ago. With dedicated effort, you might reach current human standards in 4 to 6 centuries. 6 centuries, the Empress repeated. And in that time, how much further will human technology advance? Unknown. Technological singularity makes prediction difficult. Our capabilities continue to expand in ways we didn't anticipate. Commander, Admiral Kethavar said, you mentioned stronger responses if we violated your territorial boundaries. What did you mean? Admiral, the Retribution was limited to defensive actions because our protocols require minimal force when dealing with developing civilizations. Stronger responses would involve ships designed for actual combat, rather than monitoring duties. What would that look like? Commander Chen paused as if considering how much to reveal. Our primary defensive platforms are mobile artificial planets with weaponry capable of sterilizing solar systems. Our exploration ships can manipulate space-time to travel instantaneously across galactic distances. Our construction vessels can disassemble stars to build raw materials for engineering projects. The descriptions were beyond Imperial comprehension. Artificial planets as weapons? Instant travel across the galaxy? Using stars as raw materials? You're describing capabilities that sound like magic, said Counselor Zellera. Any sufficiently advanced technology appears magical to less developed civilizations. Arthur C. Clarke, a human philosopher, established that principle centuries ago. Empress Silara stood from her throne and walked to the display showing Commander Chen's image. What do you want from us? We want you to respect the territorial boundaries we've established and continue your development without threatening human interests. We have no desire to interfere with your civilization's natural growth. And if we refuse, Empress, that would force us to treat the Zephyrian Empire as a hostile power rather than a developing civilization. The response would be swift and final. You would destroy the Empire, if necessary. However, we would prefer to establish formal diplomatic relations and help guide your development in positive directions. Guide our development? You mean control us? No, Your Majesty, guide. Provide advice when requested. Share certain technologies that could benefit your people. Help you avoid the mistakes that have destroyed other civilizations. What mistakes? Developing weapons before developing wisdom. Expanding territory before developing sustainable cultures. Treating other species as resources rather than potential allies. Empress Silara returned to her throne, her mind racing. Everything she had believed about the Empire's place in the galaxy was wrong. They were not the advanced civilization she had thought. They were children being watched by adults. Commander Chen, show us proof of your claims. What kind of proof would convince you? Show us one of these advanced human ships. The display changed, showing space around the Retribution. Suddenly, massive shapes began appearing as if materializing from nothing. Ships longer than Imperial space stations, their designs impossible and beautiful, structures that seemed to bend space around them. This is Defensive Fleet 7, one of our smaller border patrol groups. 15 ships designed for actual military operations rather than monitoring duties. The Imperial Council stared at the display. Each human ship was larger than the Empire's greatest space stations. Their designs incorporated curves and patterns that seemed to follow mathematical principles beyond Imperial understanding. "How many such fleets do you have?" asked Admiral Kethavar. "That information is classified. However, I can tell you that our defensive capabilities are more than adequate to protect human interests." "Commander," Empress Sailara said, "what happens now?" "That depends on your decisions, Your Majesty. We can establish formal diplomatic relations, share certain technologies, and help your civilization develop in positive directions. Or you can continue to view us as enemies and face the consequences. What technologies would you share? Medical advances that could extend Zephyrian lifespans, agricultural techniques that could eliminate hunger across your worlds, energy systems that could power your civilization without environmental damage." The offers were tempting. Everything Commander Chen described could solve major problems facing the Empire. In exchange for what? Respect for our territorial boundaries, agreements to limit certain types of weapons development, participation in galactic stability protocols. You want us to accept limitations on our sovereignty. We want you to accept reality, Your Majesty. The Zephyrian Empire is no longer the dominant power in this sector. That role now belongs to species you didn't know existed.